Have you ever looked around at work and wondered, is this really what I wanted for my life? Millions of people wake up before dawn, brave the traffic, and spend 8 hours or more staring at screens or doing manual labor, only to return home exhausted, and repeat the same routine for decades. Somehow, work has become something many people simply endure because they need to pay the bills. For most of human history, people could see a purpose in what they did. Farmers grew food. Blacksmiths forged tools. Carpenters built houses. The connection between effort and result was direct and meaningful. Although life was often physically harder, many jobs gave people a greater sense of belonging and identity. But then came the Industrial Revolution, which transformed production forever. Factories began producing goods more cheaply and quickly. But there was a price to pay. Instead of creating a complete product, workers repeated the same small task endlessly. One person tightened screws. Another pulled a lever. Another packed boxes. Efficiency increased, but many jobs became repetitive and disconnected from the final result. People were gradually turned into cogs in a machine. I relate to this myself. I work in a cookie factory and truly feel like an extension of the machine. My job involves placing freshly packed cookie packages onto a pallet. It doesn't require immense physical exertion, but imagine doing it for 9 hours straight, year after year. The problem is the volume. On some days, we produce 2,000 boxes or more. It's a very robotic, soulless task, and I know I could be replaced in the blink of an eye. To be honest, I'm happy when the machine breaks down due to a technical issue, because it gives me a chance to rest a bit. I can't understand how people manage to do this for decades without going crazy. Anyway, I know a lot of people work in offices these days, and I think office work is better than factory work, but even office jobs have their downsides. Many office workers spend their days answering emails, filling out spreadsheets, attending meetings, and performing tasks that seem disconnected from any visible impact, just like in the factory. I know some jobs are deeply meaningful, but others leave workers wondering if anything they did that day actually mattered. Psychologists often point to autonomy, mastery, and purpose as key ingredients of meaningful work. When these elements are missing, motivation and satisfaction tend to drop, and you might start to feel a sense of emptiness. I believe this feeling is worse nowadays because technology has made many jobs faster. Ironically, it has also made it harder to disconnect from work. Messages arrive outside of business hours. And the notifications never stop. Today, many companies monitor performance using metrics, dashboards, and algorithms. Instead of feeling trusted, people may feel constantly watched. Furthermore, the rising cost of living leaves many people feeling trapped in jobs they dislike, simply because they cannot afford to leave. We know the modern economy is highly competitive and fast-paced, but when efficiency becomes the sole objective, people can start to feel like replaceable resources rather than human beings. Work begins to revolve around hitting numbers rather than creating value. And that is when it starts to feel soulless. If you feel overwhelmed and empty due to a monotonous work routine, I suggest finding hobbies you enjoy and making the most of them. Perhaps you could even turn them into a second source of income, if you really need to. But remember, when a hobby becomes work, it ceases to be a hobby in the true sense of the word, though, ultimately, the choice is yours. So, jobs didn't lose their soul overnight. Industrialization, technology, economic pressure, and shifts in organizational culture, all these factors contributed to the situation. The challenge for the future isn't simply creating more jobs. It is creating jobs that provide people with purpose, dignity, and the feeling that what they do truly matters. Because, often, people don't just want a paycheck. They want a reason to get out of bed every morning. If we forget that, no amount of productivity will make work feel truly human. Thanks for watching.